Can I use the word apple as a trademark? Somebody wants to know. I'm going to answer that here live. I'm Angela Langlotz, trademark and copyright attorney. I go live here on weekdays to answer your trademark and copyright law questions. So, a YouTube viewer wants to know if they can use Apple as a trademark, even for things that are not related to computer technology. And my answer to that is no, you should absolutely not. Well, why? Because Apple is a famous brand, and famous brands get protection against something called dilution. Dilution is what happens when people use a famous brand, even for something that's not related to the famous brand, in such a way that it causes consumer confusion and dilutes the power of the brand. For example, it also may come into play when people use the famous brand for something that has an unsavory connotation. For example, if you're Tiffany and Company, that's the company that sells expensive jewelry and watches and china and crystal and silver, it's considered a luxury brand. If you're Tiffany and Company, you would not be happy at all if a gentleman's club, let's just say, suddenly decided that they wanted to call their chain of gentlemen's clubs Tiffany or Tiffany's, right? You would be very upset. Why? Because you don't want your luxury brand intermingled in the minds of the consumer with something that most people would consider unsavory, okay? So that's why we have this rule against dilution and against dilution by tarnishment, which is when the brand that adopts your brand has an unsavory connotation. The other reason too is, remember, we don't want to confuse the consumers. Now, famous brands often do collaborations with other famous brands. For example, Adidas, the famous clothing and athletic shoe maker, often does collaborations with other brands. They've done collaborations with Stella McCartney. They've done collaborations with Marimekko, which is the Scandinavian textile company. They've done collaborations with M&M, okay, like the candy, which is kind of weird. I don't know why, but they did. And so brands need to have room to do these sorts of collaborations without treading on somebody else's trademark toes when somebody else has adopted their famous trademark. So my advice to people who are saying, oh, hey, can I use this famous trademark for whatever? My advice to you is no, avoid famous trademarks altogether, even if the trademark office decided to give you a trademark. Right on their heels would be the lawyers for famous company. When they found out about your use, right on your heels, they would be sending you a cease and desist letter and threatening to sue you in federal court for trademark infringement and trademark dilution and unfair business practices as soon as you started using the trademark. So please don't do it. Avoid famous trademarks. I'm Angela Langlotz. I go live here on weekdays to talk trademarks and copyright. If you have trademark or copyright questions, drop them into the comments below. I'll answer them on a future live and tag you so that you know that I responded.